What do you mean I can only check in one bag? I asked the clerk behind the counter. I'm gonna be spending 5 months in Taiwan with only 23 kilo of luggage? Well, at least my mom is happy. She has been nagging me for bringing too much clothes anyway. I'm going to the hot country of Taiwan and will be back right before it's time to put on the winter clothes anyway. That's how my blog started 10 years ago, 2010, when I for the first time visited the great continent of Asia and the great country of Taiwan. Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Lukas and this month, as you may already know, is very special for me. Not only is it 2 years since I started with my YouTube channel, it's actually the 10-year anniversary of my first visit to Taiwan. So this month I actually want to go back in time and bring you with me 10 years ago when I first arrived here and share my absolute first impressions of Taiwan, but also see how my impressions are now and if I or Taiwan has changed during the last decade. And I've actually found my very first blog where I kept record of all the fascinating and, to be honest, quite weird things I found here in Taiwan 10 years ago. Please also notice that I do wear the proper attire for this video, as I'm wearing the authentic traditional outfit of a Swedish exchange student 2010. If you want to join me on my journey, just sit back, continue watching. We're gonna jump straight in and travel back in time to my very first day here in Taiwan. After 10 hours and 45 minutes, we landed in Thailand to refuel, and I'm realizing that although I spent the entire flight trying to learn some basic Chinese, after failing memorizing the numbers 1 to 10, I can't say I'm too motivated to continue. Finally landed in Taipei. The first thing that happened was that we were put through some sort of fever control to see if we had a fever or not when we landed. Crazy. Okay, so this was 10 years ago, 10 years before COVID-19, but still, Taiwan had fever controls at the airport, which I had never seen before, already 10 years ago. Taiwan, amazing. The second thing that happened was that the dog came up from behind and trying to sniff out if I was bringing any animals, fruit or plants into the country. Not really sure how that works, but the dog failed to smell my chewing gum with watermelon flavor. So it's all good. Okay, this is why I struggle making my Sweden versus Taiwan videos, because in Sweden I grew up on the countryside. I basically had no life experience whatsoever. Then I come to Taiwan and basically everything is different, but I don't really know if it's different because it's Taiwan, it's different because it's a huge million people city, or if it's different just because I started to pay attention to a lot of different things. For me, animal, fruit, plant sniffing dogs at the airport is something very typical Taiwanese, because I had not seen this until I came to Taiwan, and after my 8 years here I've been doing a lot of traveling through Asia, and of course Taoyuan Airport is actually the airport I have landed at the most, and therefore naturally where I'm most often seeing these animal, fruit, plant sniffing dogs. So for me it's a very Taiwanese thing. Is it a Taiwanese thing? Probably not. After a quick custom check I passed, I was now officially in Taiwan. This is where the 26-hour-long trip from Renstad to Gothenburg to Amsterdam to Thailand and to Taiwan should have ended. But before it's time to officially end this journey, I was about to get two of the greatest shocks in my entire life. Dramatic stuff, Lucas. The first shock was when I stepped out of the cab after the 50-minute long ride from the airport to the school, and we only had to pay 200 Swedish crowns for the entire cab ride. In Sweden it costs like 300 NT just to enter the cab, and if you want to take a cab in any major city it will cost you like 1 to 2,000 NT for basically any single trip. The second shock was when I stepped into the dormitory of Suzhou University, Shilin campus for the very first time. The first thing I see is a pink plastic container on the floor. The staff at the dormitory is pointing at the container, looks terrified, and says, "Snake." If you're reading this, or well, if you're watching this, you may think that I got terrified by seeing a snake on the dormitory floor on my first day in Taiwan. But actually, I was surprisingly calm and almost relieved for two reasons. One, as I don't speak any Chinese, and the staff at the dormitory barely speak any English, I was worried that we might have some issues understanding each other. But it turns out that by only understanding one single word, we understand each other good enough. And secondly, seeing the panic in the staff people's eyes when they tried to think about what to do with the snake made me feel surprisingly calm. I mean, if they are panicking, that means that it's not common to see a snake indoors, not even in Taiwan, right? Okay, I have to say, if anyone is watching this and wondering if it is common to see snakes in Taiwan, actually, I've lived here for 8 years straight now, and except for my very first day here in Taiwan, I've actually only seen one single snake, and that was when we were hiking up to Teapot Mountain. Of course, lovely Teapot Mountain. But I was fortunate enough to see one indoors on my absolute very first day, and actually the first thing that happened here in Taiwan. But my first day in Taiwan is not over yet. I'm reading this super dramatic because that's how I assume that 2010 year Lukas wanted this to be read, so please bear with me. After the staff managed to get rid of the snake and to take it outdoors, hopefully they helped it pay around 200 Swedish crowns, so the snake is halfway to Taoyuan Airport by now. I get the key to room 107, which, thank God, is on the second floor and one entire floor above where the snakes live here in Taiwan. I open the door and I see 8 bunk beds put together in the room where the bottom bed has been removed, and instead there's a desk with just enough space for a MacBook Pro 13-inch. I finally unpack some of my things. I try out the bed, and also realizing that the bed itself is barely bigger than a MacBook Pro 13-inch. Regardless, I was ready to take a shower and go to sleep right away. However, since the buddies from school who picked me up at the airport had some other plans and wanted to show me a great restaurant for dinner, we jumped on bus 304 and checked out the restaurant, which a name I may be able to read one day, Bafang Unji, but with a menu I will never be able to understand. This is actually 100% true, and one of my absolute first videos on this YouTube channel is actually me recreating this first day. So, here's a quick guide on how to survive your first day in Taipei. Going to Bafang Unji and also helping fellow new exchange students by translating the menu, at least the Guotie section, where you will have the essentials to survive your first day here in Taiwan. We sat down and we ordered something that best can be described as squid balls in seaweed soup. I asked my buddies from school, who said that it was squid balls in seaweed soup. How can you possibly serve these two items and charge people money to eat it? Unbelievable. No wonder they live on their own island. Okay, my sincerest apologies to anyone, which is probably everyone, that loves squid balls and seaweed here. It's something that I have learned during my years here, being a very, very appreciated dish, not by me, but by many, many others. On behalf of 2010 Lukas, my sincerest apologies. But we also ordered something that pretty much looks like soft spring rolls. Guotie. I think soft spring rolls is a pretty good way to describe it actually, especially with my jet lag and my first day here in Taiwan and never heard about guotie or anything like this. So, soft spring rolls. Like it. This was really good actually, but since my buddies couldn't give me a straight answer about what's actually inside, I decided to not ask any further questions and simply enjoy my first meal here in Taiwan. You don't need to know what's exactly inside a guotie, and just eat it, love it, delicious. We went back to the dorm, and I don't know if it was the recent squid balls or if it was one of my recent 3 airplane lunches that also wanted to see Taiwan for the first time. Gross. I decided to make a stop at the bathroom, which turned out to be the 3rd greatest shock of my life, since the bathroom looked like this. Literally just a hole in the ground. But, desperate as I was, I didn't give a shit. Or, well, I guess I did. Oh, oh, gross. Can't believe I will put this in like a public blog. Ugh. But I do hope you appreciated a majority of my very first day here in Taiwan, and I do have a lot more stories, a lot more photos, and even some of my very first small video clips from my very first time here in Taiwan, which I will continue to share throughout the rest of the month and basically for as long as it takes before we're all caught up. If you want to join me on this journey back in time, follow me through my very early days to Taiwan, and in the end also a summary and comparison to how I'm looking at Taiwan now compared to my very first time here. Please make sure to subscribe. Please also hit that bell to get notified when I release new videos, and please also share this with someone who might be interested as well. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Lukas, starts with L as in like, ends with S as in subscribe. Please do both, and I'll see you in the next one.